Ekam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Hello students. So in the previous class, we looked into the condition of compatibility of two partial differential equations, first order partial differential equations. Um, we saw that there is a necessary and sufficient condition with the help of which we can determine whether the given system of first order PDE are compatible or not, and if it is compatible, then how we can find out the common solution. So that up to that part we did in the previous class. So today we are going to start with something called Charpit's method. So as I pointed out in the previous class, that Lagrange's method works for linear, semi-linear, and quasi-linear PDEs. That means when you have the linearity with respect to small p and small q. But if your given PDE is non-linear, that means if you have something like p square in your equation, or you have q square in your equation, then this technique of Lagrange's method would not work. And then we need help of another technique, which is called as Charpit's method. So I'm quickly just going to introduce what is Charpit's method, and then we will solve some examples. So suppose let the given first order PDE be f of x, y, z, pq equals to 0. Suppose this is equation number 1. And we need to find a complete integral of 1. We need to find a complete integral of 1. So then how we can proceed, because here, as you can see, it's a function of x, y, z and p and q. So obviously it's not always a linear in p and q. It could be a nonlinear PDE with respect to p and q. And then how we can proceed. So first of all, there is a technique that is a little bit different here that we are going to adopt. So we say that a family of PDE GXYZ. So we consider another set of another family of PDE P or G of XYZ PQA is said to be a one parameter family of, because A is a parameter, so it's said to be a one parameter where A is that parameter, A is the parameter, is said to be a one parameter family of PDE. One parameter family of PDE. All right. So if it is a one parameter family of PDE, which is said to be compatible, which is said to be one parameter family of PDE, which is compatible. I don't want to use the said to be word again. So which is compatible with 1. Let's call this as equation number 2 with 1 if it is compatible with 1 for each A. So we are starting with a one parameter family of PDE, where we are considering A as the parameter, and we say that this PDE is compatible with 1. So the condition of compatibility is same. Either you can check with the 4 Jacobian method, or you can check with that 1 Jacobian and find out the common solution. So we say that this G is compatible with 1 if for every A it is compatible. That means it doesn't matter whatever value of A you take, it will always be compatible. So it will satisfy that condition of compatibility for each A. All right. So since we have f equals to 0 and g equals to 0, both the given PDEs are equals to 0, are compatible, then we know that f comma g in the bracket equals to 0. This is a short notation for that fp times del g del x. If you break the Jacobian, then fq times del g del y plus pfp. Here we are using that 4 Jacobian formula. So if you break the Jacobian, then it will start looking like this. So pfp plus qfq. So this is what I have written here. So qfq times del g del z minus fx times fx plus pfz times pfz times del g del p, and then minus of fy times qfz times del g del q. Let me just match it once again. So we have fp times del g del x, fq times del g del y, pfp plus qfq times del z del z minus fx plus pfz times del g del p minus fy plus qfz times del g del q equals to 0. Okay, so let's call it as relation number 3. Okay, and now I'm going to just reduce the resolution so that my paper can fit in the screen. So now this one is basically a quasi-linear PDE. So this is a quasi-linear PDE, quasi-linear PDE, quasi-linear PDE, first order, of course, quasi-linear PDE, first order in G or for G. So here you can see del G, del X, del G, del Y. So they all of them have degree 1, and obviously this qualifies to be in that quasi-linear PDE category. So if we are looking, so here we can also write with x, y, z, small p and small q are the independent variables. You can add this line, are the independent variables. There's nothing wrong in that. So basically, now what we have gotten, so now our problem is to find a one parameter family of PDE, which is 2. So our problem is to find a one parameter family of PDE 2, which is such that each member of the family of each member of this family of PDE is compatible with PDE 1. So our problem is now to find out a family of PDE, a one parameter family of PDE 2, which is compatible such that for every value of A, it is compatible with 1. All right. And then, so this is relation number 3. And then this equation 1 is to find a solution of the equation 3 in a simple form involving peak and Q, or both an arbitrary constant, or both, or and an arbitrary constant A. So basically, now that we are asserting that our problem would be, first of all, to find a one parameter family of PDE2, which is compatible with the PDE1 for every value of A. Then we say that this equation 1, or the PDE1, is to find out, in a way, is to find out the solution for PDE3. Now, this is our PDE3, and here if you see carefully, then what is happening is, basically, this is del G del X, del G del Y, del Z del Z, del Z del P, del Z del Q. So that means it is an extended form of Lagrange's PDE. So how do we write it? Then we can write the Lagrange's auxiliary equation. In this case, Lagrange's auxiliary equations are basically, you will have then dx by fp plus dy by fq equals to dz by pfp plus qfq equals to dp by minus of fx plus pfz and equals to dq by minus of fy plus qfz. Okay. So basically, what does Charpit's method says? So Charpit's method says that we have to find a one parameter family of partial differential equation 2, which is such that for each alpha or each a, sorry, in this case it is a, so that for each a, this equation 2 is compatible with 1. And then we solve for p and q from this relation. So the Charpit's method says that Charpit's method says that we look for a one parameter family of PDEs 2 such that for each a for each a um, for each a 2 2 2 is compatible with 1. All right, and then solve for p and q, then solve for p and q. So this is the given how to say equation from where we can solve for p and q. Why? Because if we can solve for p and q, then that is our del z del x, del z del y, and then we can be able to write dz equals to del z del x times dx plus del z del y times dy. So let's say we got, and then solve for p and q. So let's say let p equals to, you have gotten something like phi of x y z comma a, because it will always involve a, and q equals to psi of x y z comma a. A will always be there because our g involves a, so automatically a will come, and therefore we can write dz equals to p dx plus q dy. Remember, our p is del z del x, q is del z del y. So this is what we will get, and this is phi dx plus psi dy. Now you can always do the separation, separation, and try to bring some dx on this side or dy on the left hand side, and try to write something like d of z, some function of xy, some function of x, or d of z times some function of y, and try to give it a nice differential form. Okay, so this is let's call it as relation number 3. So this is 3, and we can call this as relation number 4, and then I'm calling this as relation number 5. So let's just go to the next page. So then 5 is integrable because, or since, because 1 and 2 are compatible, because according to the compatibility condition, you have a common solution, and that dz equals to p dx plus q dy will actually give you the common solution. So an integral, therefore an integral of 5 will be of form, let's say capital, after you integrate you might end up obtaining something like this, some capital function, which is a two parameter family of solution, which is a two parameter, a and b are the parameter, where which is uh, which is a two-parameter family of solution of 1, comma, hence it will be a which is comma, which is a two-parameter family of solution. Hence, let's write hence. It will be um, a complete integral of 1. So we did something very smartly. We didn't go to the Lagrange's equation because we were given a null linear PD. But what we did was we considered a one parameter family of PD, where A is that one parameter family of PD. And now what we are saying is that this, let's say this PD2 is compatible with PD1. So if it is compatible, then it will satisfy the compatibility condition. And from the compatibility condition, what we are getting is basically a quasi-linear first order PD, because it is quasi-linear in G and it's a PD with respect to the variable X, Y, Z, P and Q. So they are the basically independent variables. So if it is a quasi-linear PD, then in a way it's an extension of the Lagrange's or PD or the Lagrange's method, where instead of having only two del Z del X and del Z del Y kind of situation, here you have five of these partial derivatives. So we have already learned that how to write down the Lagrange's auxiliary equation. So that's what we did. Now we are saying that we are looking for a one parameter family of solution, okay, of this PD, which is compatible with 1 for every value of A, right? So that means we are trying to solve this auxiliary equation to obtain P and Q such that we can write dz equals to P dx plus Q dy. So if I write dz equals to P dx plus Q dy, and since the given the fact that 1 and 2 are compatible, this dz will be a common solution. That means this dz, this dz equals to P dx plus Q dy, whatever z you will get from here, that will be a common solution. So in a way, the z that will be obtained from here, it will satisfy this equation number 2 as well as equation number 1. So although we didn't make any effort to find out the solution for this non-linear PD, indirectly we are finding the solution of this non-linear PD from this relation, dz equals to P dx plus Q dy, because that's a common solution. So whatever common solution you get from here, it will satisfy F as well as it will satisfy Z. And that's your trick here. So whatever Z we will obtain, it will somehow look like f of x, y, z, a, comma, b equals to 0. And since a and b are two arbitrary constants or two parameter, we can say that it's actually the complete integral. So that's where the trick is involved, that you consider a one parameter family of PD and say that it is compatible with 1, and whatever common solution you'll obtain, it will satisfy both f and g. And you didn't have to use the Lagrange's method for your given PDE, but while obtaining the solution, we did use Lagrange's method and got the required complete integral. We'll see one example that how to. So we don't have to consider a separate one parameter family when we are solving the example. We will directly use the Charpit's method, Charpit's auxiliary equation. So this is Charpit's auxiliary equation. Of course, we named it Lagrange's auxiliary equation, but we simply call it Charpit's auxiliary equation because it has different terms. That's why. And then we will see how we can solve a given PD. So first of all, let's so example, find the complete integral of f of x, y, z, p, q equals to z square minus pqxy equals to 0 by Charpit's method. One can say by Charpit's method. By Charpit's method. But the thing is, here you can see already that there is a product term. So it is obviously a nonlinear PD, and our usual Lagrange's method would not work. So in order to solve this, what we have to do, So what we have to do is that first of all, we'll write the Charpit's auxiliary equation. So the auxiliary equation, simply we will write the auxiliary equations are dx by, if we go by this formula, then we will have dx by fp. So do the partial derivative with respect to p, then dy by fq, then do the partial derivative of f with respect to q, then dz by pfp plus qfq. They can be obtained from here by multiplying it by p, multiplying it by q. Then dp by minus of fx plus pfz. So fx is partial derivative with respect to x, and then fz is partial derivative with respect to z. And similarly here we have fy plus qfz, so partial derivative with respect to y, and similarly partial derivative with respect to z. Put them here. So ultimately, from auxiliary equation, what we will have is we will have qxy equals to dy by pxy equals to dz by 2pqxy equals to dp by 2zp minus pqy equals to dq by 2zq minus pqx. All right. So now we have to solve. So remember, our intention is to find what is p, what is q, so that we can write down the solution. So this is what we are looking for. So now if I take um, so now if I take dz by z square equals to p dx plus q dy plus x dp plus y dq. Okay. So basically what we are doing, we are choosing the multipliers. So if I'm choosing the multipliers, then I will write all these fractions equals to p dx plus q dy plus x dp plus y dq divided by so we are multiplying p dx. So this is pq xy. Then we have q dy. So this is pq xy. Then we have x dp. So that means 2xzp 2xzp minus pqxy, sorry, pqxy, and then this one we are multiplying by y. So this is 2y zq minus pqxy. And now we are taking this fraction and this fraction. So from here, what we will get dz by 2pqxy equals to p dx plus q dy plus x dp plus y dq divided by, this will get cancelled out and this one will get cancelled out. So we will have x zp plus y zq and dz by this. So basically dz by 2pqxy. Now pqxy is z square. So I can write 2z square from here. From the given PD, I can write pq as 2z square. And this one is d of xp plus yq divided by 2z xp plus yq. See, now we can cancel out 1, 2, and we can also cancel out 1z, and therefore we integrate both sides. So if we integrate both sides, then this one will give you log of z, this one will give you log of xp plus yq plus log of c. So ultimately we will get z equals to a times xp plus yq. Okay, and xp plus yq. So basically, we have gotten this a is any arbitrary constant. So a is any arbitrary constant. Is any arbitrary constant. So this is basically that one parameter family of PDE, where a is the parameter that is compatible with given PDE this one. Okay, so now if we want to solve this given PD1, so how we can do that? So first of all, see, we have z equals to axp plus yq, and we also have, so we have, anyhow we have to obtain the value of p and q. So we have z square equals to z square minus pq xy equals to 0, and z minus a of xp plus yq equals to 0. So these are the two things that we have. So now how we can solve for p and q. So the method to solve for p and q is so I can multiply this equation by z, and or yeah, we can call it equation number one. No, one we okay, one and then two. So we have to solve for one and two. For p and q. So we need to solve for p and q. All right. So first of all, from f equals to 0 and g equals to 0. So obviously, if we solve, then we obtain p equals to z by cx, and q equals to some cz by y, where c is another parameter, or c is another constant, which is related to a by where c is another constant. All right. So basically, let me go back to the previous page. So basically, if you solve for, if you take p is equals to z by cx, and q is equals to cz by y, you substitute here where you relate c and a by this equation, then you'll see that p and q satisfies this relation. So if p and q satisfies this relation, then basically our common solution, or the required solution now, the required solution is dz equals to p dx plus q dy. Now we know that what is our p? It is z by c by x times dx, and this one is cz by y, d of y. So I can divide both sides by z. So this is dz by z, dx by cx plus c dy by is c dy by y. And once we integrate, this will give us log of z to the base e. This one is 1 by c log of x to the base e, c log of y to the base e, and then we have some log of some other constant log of, let's say, b. Therefore, ultimately, what we will have is we will have z equals to uh, bx to the power 1 by c and y to the power c, which is the complete integral. The complete integral of 1. So as you can see, we basically were able to solve the required PDE, which was the equation number 1. Let me go back, which is the original PDE, this one. By solving for, first of all, we formulated what is the one parameter family of solution, and then we solve for P and Q. we really don't have to mention what is our one parameter family of solution. We can just start solving it. Huh? So once you got this relation, keep in mind that you have this auxiliary equation, you have this equation, and you have z equal whatever equation you will obtain to find out the solution for P and Q. So that means once you got this auxiliary equation, pretty much it should be straightforward that which are the fractions that you have to take so that you'll get the value of P and Q. We don't have to write all these things. You keep in mind always that we are always looking for P and Q from this auxiliary equation. This example might be a little bit complicated. So now I'm going to show you another examples which could be simpler. So suppose we are given something like find the complete integral of f of x y z p q equals to x p q plus y q square minus 1 equals to 0. So here it is, of course, a nonlinear PD because you have nonlinearity here, nonlinearity here. So we can formulate the auxiliary equation. So the auxiliary equations are, you'll see that it's not always that difficult. In most of the cases, it will be simpler. So dx by xq, dy by xp plus 2yq equals to dz by 2xpq plus yq square equals to dp by minus of pq equals to dq by minus of q square. So here, if you take first and fourth fraction, then you will get some relation between x and p. Also, if you take fourth and fifth fraction, then one q will get cancelled and we'll get a relation between p and q. That's good. So let's take, so taking fourth and fifth fractions. So what we will get if we take fourth and fifth fraction? So we will get dp by minus of pq equals to dq by minus of q square. So one q will get cancelled. We will have dp by p equals to dq by q. And if we integrate both sides, then this will give you p equals to some alpha q, where alpha is an arbitrary constant, You might as well call it that this is that one parameter family of PDE. So P is equals to alpha q, where alpha is a constant. Similarly, if I take dx and this dx by xq and dp by minus of pq, then what we will get? So now I'm taking first and fourth fraction. So take first and fourth fractions. So what we will have? We will have dx by what is it? xq and dp by minus of pq. So one q will get cancelled and this one will become dp by p plus dx by x equals to 0. So when we integrate, so this will become dx by x and dp. So when we integrate, this becomes log of px equals to some c, and log of px equals to some c, and therefore equals to some log of c. And therefore, we will get what we will get. We will get x px equals to, so log of p plus log of x, so log of px, and this will give you log of c. So simply c, and therefore we will get p equals to c by x. Okay. So now, so again, what we will have between, what is the relation between q and p? So the relation between p and q is p equals to alpha q. So p is equals to alpha q, and therefore from here we will get q equals to um, p by alpha. So that means this will lead to c by alpha x. Okay, so if I try to put in dz equals, so now we can do a side calculation whether this will help or not. So we have p dx plus q dy, and if I substitute p equals to c by x dx, so it is helping. But if I substitute q equals to c by alpha x d of y, so it's not really giving us any kind of d, or it's not making this whole thing complete differential. So that means it's not always how to say straightforward to take all the fractions. So the reason why I took the first and fourth fraction is that you can get a value for p, but the minute you are trying to obtain the value of q, it's it's really not that fruitful, because there's some way you may not be able to obtain the complete differential. So then here is a way out, that always look for the value of p and q so that this thing will become complete differential, or you can be able to write it as an integrable function. So what we can do to remedy this situation, that you might run into a problem. So to remedy this situation, because we got q is equals to c by alpha x, I can substitute here, but it's not really something d of some kind of. So this is not becoming like that. So what we can do, so alternatively, so we don't have to do this. Just write this out. So we don't have to do this. So what we can do, we go back to, so we take the given PDE. So we take the given PDE, given PDE, which is xpq plus yq square minus 1 equals to 0. And now here we will substitute the value of p. So if I substitute the value of p, then this one will become p alpha. So p is equals to alpha q square, yq square equals to 1. So that means q square is equals to 1 by y plus alpha x, and therefore q is equals to 1 by square root of y plus alpha x. And from here we will get p is equals to alpha by square root of y plus alpha x. Now we will see whether we can get a integrable a differential or not. So first of all, again we will have dz equals to p dx plus q dy. So p, we already know it is alpha y plus alpha x d of x, and this one is 1 dy divided by y plus alpha x. So now this is nothing but d of alpha x plus y divided by square root of y plus alpha x equals to d of z. Now this, you can see that if you consider this as a new function, let's say, I don't know, m, so this is nothing but dm by square root of m. And this side you have dz. So dm by square root of m, that will give you actually z, uh, sorry, this will give you, if we have 1 by square root of x, so something like d of square root of x, so we have x to the power minus half. When we integrate, this becomes x to the power half, x to the power half divided by half. So here we will get a 2. So if I square, yes. So basically what you will get is, you will get some z plus, let's say some constant beta equals to 2 times y plus alpha x whole to the power half. So if I square both sides, it will become z plus beta whole square equals to 4 times y plus alpha x. So you see how we saved the situation. So it's not always that you start with any other fractions. So always, I mean, keep in mind that we have to have this expression as integrable. That means you always have to obtain something like d of that. Okay, so if we are willing to obtain d of that, then substituting p is equals to c by x, which is still okay, but substituting q is equals to c by alpha x, is not giving you anything like d of something. So here you cannot treat 1 by x as a constant and simply write cy by alpha x. So that is not going to work because x and y, they are both independent variables. So that means in order to have that d of some integral, this is not going to work. However, we have a given PD, which is 1, which is equation number 1. I haven't written 1, so you can just put an equation number 1. So this PD can be taken as a remedy. So how? What we can do, we can substitute P is equals to alpha Q in here. So the minute we substitute P is equals to alpha Q in here, what we are getting is we are getting Q is equals to 1 by square root of y plus alpha x, and then we are getting P is equals to alpha by square root of y plus alpha x. Now the minute you put them here in this formula, it is pretty much apparent that this whole thing can be written as d of alpha x plus y divided by square root of y plus alpha, d of alpha x plus y divided by square root of y alpha x plus y. So that means this thing has become d of this m divided by square root of m, and now this can be integrable very easily. So this is the trick. I mean, you always have to do that. How to say that experiment? That what kind of p and q you really need to have so that you can write this as a perfect differential, or that d of something, so that you can do the integrability. I'll show you one more example, and then we will move on to our next topic. So another example in this regard could be, let's see. Um, Example 3. So find, this time I will call it an equation number. So find the complete integral. Find the complete integral of p square minus y square cube equals to y square minus x square. Let's call it as equation number 1. So here, solution. So here what we have is f of x y z equals to p square minus y square q square minus of y square minus x square equals to 0. I'm still calling it relation number 1. So again, I can formulate the auxiliary equation. If I formulate the auxiliary equation, this one will become dx by that formula. So if I follow the same formula, then it will become dx by minus of 2p, then dy by y square, then dz by minus of p times 2p, minus of q times minus of q square, then dp by 2x, and dq by minus of 2qy minus of 2y. So from here, if I take first and fourth fraction, so take first and fourth fraction, take first and fourth fractions. Let's call it as equation number 2. So if I take first and fourth fraction, you can see immediately that 2 will get cancelled, and this p will multiply in here, and x will multiply in here. Then you bring them on same side, you integrate, you ultimately obtain p square plus x square equals to some alpha, where alpha is constant or arbitrary constant, where alpha is arbitrary constant. So we got our one parameter family of PD. Now I will use this relation. Okay, so how do we use this relation? So solving, um, let's call it as 3. So solving 1 and 3 for p and q. So how do we solve for p and q? So from here, as you can see, p is uh, alpha minus x square root. We are taking the positive value. You can also take the negative value. I think it will not create any problem. So you can take plus minus. It wouldn't change the integrability, but we will see that. Let it be a task for you that you take the minus value and whether you can still write d of something or not. And just for having a nice uniform calculation, I'm, instead of calling it as alpha, I'm just calling it as alpha square so that it will look nice. That's it. So P is equals to square root of alpha square minus x square. Now again from this relation, what we have is we have um, we have y square q equals to p square minus y square plus x square. So I know what is my p square. My p square is alpha square minus x square from relation number 3, and this one is minus of y square plus x square, and this is y square cube. So from here I will get 1x square will get cancelled, and I will get q is equals to alpha square minus y square divided by y square. All right. You might also write it as alpha square y minus, okay, y minus 2 minus p. So now I have got the value of p entirely in terms of x and value of q entirely in terms of y, which is still okay. But having value of q in terms of x, having value of p in terms of y, that create a problem. We saw that in the previous example. So now I can write the then I can write dz equals to p dx plus q dy. So let's substitute the value. So this is alpha square minus x square d of x. And this one is alpha square minus y square by y square d of y. So here we can integrate, and once you integrate, because here it is an entirely a function of x, this is an entirely a function of y, you can integrate very easily. So therefore from here we will get, after integration or integrating both sides, what we will get, you also have to remember some integration formula. So this will involve some that sine inverse x by alpha and all those things. So here we will have z equals to x by 2 times square root of alpha square minus x square plus alpha square by 2 sine inverse x by alpha plus minus this will become alpha square by y minus of y plus some constant beta, where beta is an arbitrary constant, where beta is an arbitrary constant. So basically this is the required complete integral of your given PD1. So I'm hoping you are getting the idea that formulate the Charpit's auxiliary equation. From there, obtain a relation between P and Q, or P and X, or Q and Y, something like that. And then use that relation. For example, here it is relation number 3, and the given equation to obtain a relation between P in terms of X, Q in terms of Y. So solve for basically P and Q. So once we have the solution for P and Q, you just substitute dz equals to P dx plus Q dy. As I told you many times, that we have to keep in mind that this must become some kind of differential d of something. Otherwise, you cannot perform this integral. And we saw that in very first example that we did run into some trouble. So therefore, always have that intention in mind, that whatever P and Q you are choosing, it must go fit in properly in here. Otherwise, you cannot have this relation. You cannot do the integration properly. All right. This is how Charpit's method works. Now, motivated from Charpit's method, there are several types of PDEs which whose solution you can directly write from Charpit's method itself. So, first of all, types of Charpit's type 1. So, in Charpit's method, you have several types. So, suppose the given PDE f of pq equals to 0. That means you have PD of type p square plus q square equals to 0 or equals to 1, something like that. So this is falling under the category of f of pq equals to 0. So then I can write the auxiliary equation. So if I write the auxiliary equation, then the auxiliary equation are your dx by fp, then dy by fq, then dz by pfp plus qfq, and then dp by whatever expression you have fx and z. Since it doesn't involve any x and z, uh, the partial derivative will always be 0. And similarly, dq will involve fy and z, partial derivative of fy and z. Since it doesn't have any y and z, it will also be 0. So if we take the fourth fraction, so from fourth fraction, we will get p is equals to a. Or if you take the fifth fraction, then you will get q is equals to a, right? So now I will use the information p is equals to a in equation 1. Let's call it as 1. So by 1, you will get q is equals to some capital Q of a. That means a function which entirely involves a. And therefore, our dz will be p dx plus q dy. So I know what is my p. So this is a dx and this one is q of a dy. Since they are both constants, you can do the integration very easily. And whatever you will obtain, you will get z equals to a times x plus q a times y plus some b. So b is that arbitrary constant. So a and b are two arbitrary constants. This is the required solution. You see? So basically, the one possible example could be, so if it says solve or find the complete integral, we are just going to see the application of this method. So solve this particular solve for complete integral of the PDE f of PQ equals to P plus Q minus PQ equals to 0. So we don't have to do these intermediate steps. The minute you see that the given PD is of the form f of PQ equals to 0, the solution will go like this. You directly put P equals to A. Don't do these intermediate steps. Whatever you do, you will get the same answer. But I'm saying you can skip that because you have recognized the form. And the minute you have recognized the form, put P equals to A. The minute you put P equals to A, it will give you Q is equals to A by A minus 1. This is falling under this category. So that means I know my P will be a constant. And using that value of P, your Q will also be a constant involving the same A. See, that is our capital Q of A. And therefore, dz equals to, you will get P dx, that means A dx, plus Q dy, that means A by A minus y, d of y. And therefore, once you integrate, it will become z equals to ax plus ay by a minus 1 plus some constant b. This is your required complete integral where a and b are arbitrary constant. All right. So always recognize the form. The minute you recognize the form, everything will become pretty much straightforward. Now let's look into type 2. Type 2 of PD is f of z pq equals to 0. So f of z pq equals to 0. That means one possible example is p square plus q square equals to z. You have only p, q, and z. There is no independent variable involvement. All right. So in this case, again, the method to solve is that you formulate the auxiliary equation. So the auxiliary equation, okay, and once we got the auxiliary equation, it will look like dx by fp plus dy by fq, sorry, dz by pfp plus qfq. I'm not writing that, you just write it down, and then dp by minus of p fz equals to dq by minus of q f of z. So if you take fourth and fifth fraction, so from fourth and fifth fraction, what we will get? We will get fractions. We will get fz will be cancelled out. Then you will get log of p equals to minus of log of q. So that will give you ultimately, no, so minus minus will get cancelled, sorry. So we will get dp by p equals to dq by q. So from here we will get p is equals to some cq, where c is the arbitrary constant. Now I will use this information, p is equals to cq here. So from f equals to 0 and p equals to cq, sorry, and p equals to cq, we will get, you substitute in that, we will get small q equals to we will get, so I'm substituting P is equals to AQ. So this one will become f of z AQ AQ. So that means I will obtain Q is equals to some function of A and Z, sorry, C and Z, because C is that arbitrary constant. So if you see an equation of this type, you directly choose P is equals to CQ. One example we are going to just have a look at. So one possible example is, because substituting in dz equals to p dx plus q dy, that is not changing. What is changing is how we are finding out the p and q. And there are techniques. So these are all the techniques that with the help of which you can directly guess, okay, this is my p and this is my q. One possible example is example 2. Solve for complete integral z pq minus p minus q equals to 0. See, this is falling under that same category, f of z pq equals to 0. Hai na? So if it is under same category, then what we are getting solution. So we substitute or we take, you can directly take P is equals to some AQ, where A is the arbitrary constant. Now we substitute this P is equals to AQ in here. So if I substitute P is equals to AQ, so call it as a relation number 1. So by 1, we will get, what we will get? We will get Q is equals to, this one will become AQ, and AQ, and so if I'm substituting P is equals to AQ, uh, so then this one will become uh, AQ, AQ square. So one Q will get cancelled out, and we will get ZAQ minus A minus 1. So ultimately Q will become 1 plus A by AZ, where A is that arbitrary constant. Now we will use this Q and find out P, so that P is, so that means 1 plus A by Z. Let's call this both as equation number 2, and therefore then we can write Z equals to P dx plus Q dy. So what is our P? It is 1 plus A by Z dx, and this one is 1 plus A by A times Z dy. So ultimately we will get Z dz equals to 1 plus A dx plus 1 plus A by y, A by A dy, and now you can do the integration very easily. See, now we can integrate. This is z square by 2. This is 1 plus A times x. This is 1 plus A by A times y plus some b. And this is the required complete integral. So that means the minute you recognize the form, that, okay, this is f z pq equals to 0, take directly P is equals to AQ. You don't have to think for a second. I mean, just take P is equals to AQ and substitute, you get value of Q first of all, and then you get the value of P. You can do other way around. You can also, where is that note? So yes, we can also substitute for Q in this relation, and then we can obtain P is equals to some P is equals to some C capital of CZ, capital P of CZ. That means it is a function of C and variable Z, and then you again come back to this relation. This dz equals to, where is that? Sorry, this is dz. This is not z. This is dz. Dz equals to P dx plus Q dy, and then we substitute, and this will give you the required answer. So either you can take P is equals to, we can take P is equals to AQ, or Q is equals to AP, and then solve for P and Q, and then substitute in this relation. All right. So this is one way to recognize this form. Another technique, another two types. So in this lecture, actually, we ran out of time. So there are two more types of Charpit's solution, and then we will look into the singular solution. So I will stop this lecture at this point, and in the next class or in the next lecture, we will take it from the other two methods of Charpit's solution, and we will also find out how to calculate the singular solution, then we will move on to our next topic. All right. So that's it in this class, and I will continue the lecture from the type 3 and type 4 types of a Charpit solution in the next class.